Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I wanted to do this video because of the fact that we didn't get to do another video. You see, I really wanted to do like a Halloween video where Safi and I would show up in costumes again and we do something special for that, but it just didn't work out this year. In fact, talking about the day of Halloween could probably just be its own separate hilarious video. It would have been perfect for Marco Dishes Out on Life, that's for damn sure. Just like my birthday last year was perfect for that show. In fact, I might do that. I might do that next week just for fun. I don't know, just for fun. So I thought I might talk about some of the movies that I watched on Halloween this year or around this time to get into the mood. Because it's one thing to talk about horror movies that you like to watch. It's another thing to talk about horror movies that you watch in and around Halloween. So the first movie I watched was Shadow Zone, My Teacher Ate My Homework. And this was this is a very awesome kids horror film. And I've seen this movie so many times. I have the VHS and I own it digitally on Amazon. This movie, it's a very cool story. It's all about this kid who has this teacher he doesn't like, and then he ends up getting this voodoo doll, and it's like a voodoo doll where it comes to life, and every time it gets hurt, it'll hurt the real life teacher in the exact same way. And it's very, very intense, it's dark, it's scary, it's suspenseful, it is very creepy. There are some really creepy moments in this movie, especially when I was a kid. I got creeped out, especially even at the end, they show the burnt body of the doll after they do this ritual to get rid of it. And the doll, it looks it looks creepy as hell, and it like winks at the camera or something. It's very creepy. And this is one of the few kids horror movies that does it right, that pushes the boundaries while at the same time having something that kids can watch and not be totally traumatized by. And I think it's just so good. Like, you have Shelley Duvall giving a fantastic performance where she plays the evil doll, and at the same time she plays this real life teacher who's really nice, and it just turns out that he misjudged her. And so I really like this movie a lot. It's one of my favorites of all time. I try to watch it around every year for Halloween, so I'm glad I watched it this year, since I was hardly able to watch anything. And if you're wondering, I'm at the house right now, just finishing up. Been coming here every day to get more of our belongings that we need. And there's something I need to take. So the second film that I watched was a movie that I've never seen before, and this is a movie that I've seen before in my head, though. So you guys know I have just become aware earlier this month that I am a medium. Or actually, it was last month, technically. I am a medium. And I have visions of this movie, and it was actually going to be the idea for a film script that I was going to write. And it was going to be all about this kid, and he's got a shitty life. He's like a little kid. And there's this woman in town. She's at this big house in the middle of nowhere, and he goes there, and she's a vampire. They talk. She helps him out, and she kills bullies. She kills other kids for him, and then he has to band together with other people to defeat her or something. I don't know. It was just a little idea. It's a good thing I didn't write the script, because that was this fucking movie. that was literally this movie, guys. Like, that, like, I was like, oh my god, like, there has got to be tons of movies out there where I've seen them before I've even seen them. Like, you guys remember that finale, all these other things I've told you about, that I've told you I've seen before. This is like the most glaring example, all the way down to the way that the main vampire looks. She has this black outfit on and these sunglasses. It's exactly how I pictured. That's what I would want her to look like. And so that was very strange. Unfortunately, the movie did not become what my vision was by the end of it. As the movie went on, it turned out to be a very pretentious film, very pretentious art film about growing old and growing up. And this was the last movie that I watched in this house in full, which made it all the more weird, all the more weird and strange. And there are so many hilarious moments in this movie, and it's too bad because this movie had the potential to be an A+, 5 out of 5 vampire movie. They had all these elements of interest, like you have these kids getting killed. The main kid's father is a pedophile, it turns out, and so the town starts to persecute him because he might be the bad guy because he's a pedophile. Well, then you see him commit suicide by lighting himself on fire. That was really, really awesome. And you thought, like, wow, this is actually a dark, awesome vampire movie with a slow burn. And I can't wait to see what happens, how it pays off. And then you have the subplot that they build up about the kid's older brother, played by Viggo Mortensen. And the whole plot with him where he's a soldier and he's going to come back from the war. And you think, he's going to come back, help the kid defeat the vampire. Nope, he comes back and he's the worst adult in the movie. Like, he is a jackass. He's horrible to the kid. Everyone in the movie who's an adult is horrible to the kid, to the point of where it's almost cartoonish. It's a lot like in that shitty horror movie Barbarian that came out this year, where the main woman talks to these police officers and they just treat her like a nothing. They treat her like a criminal. They don't help her at all. It's a lot like that. It's exactly like that, actually, with the adults in this movie. And you think, okay, maybe it's like a Goosebumps thing where the kid's going to have to defeat the bad guy himself. Nope. Nope. Pretty much the only good scene in the whole movie besides the gas suicide. Well, actually, there might be a couple of good scenes in isolation. There's one really good one where the kid with his friends, they exploded a frog. And that was really kind of... Ugh. And they did it to where the blood squirted all over the vampire's dress. And he's supposed to go over to her house to apologize. And it is such an incredible sequence because he goes in there and they have this conversation and she gives him this whaling spear. And you think, oh shit, this is the Chekhov's gun. This is going to be what he uses at the end of the movie with the help of his brother. They're going to have to use this to defeat her. And she's literally giving to him the weapons. So maybe you could still have... That's the thing, is you don't have to tell a pretentious art film story to have a pretentious art film. You could have still had him and his brother kill the vampire with that whaling spear, and you could have it be a message where, she wants to die. She wants, it's like a mercy killing because she's growing older. She doesn't like being a vampire anymore. It could have been something like that. But no, we can't do that. No. And she literally tells him she's a vampire. It's a very fantastic sequence. That is the best thing of the whole film. But then as the movie goes on, there's so many uncomfortable scenes of like child abuse where the parents are treating the kid like shit, and there's this really uncomfortable sequence where the mom is forcing him to drink water, and she is, God, just thinking about it is like, It, to be honest though, it was very effective in terms of emotion. Like I gotta say the director is good at making things feel authentic. But authentic doesn't always mean it's a good film, it's a good story. And then by the end of the movie, there's also a very uncomfortable sequence where you have this group of guys in motorcycle jackets greaser jackets from the 50s. And they ride around in this cool old car, and they say hi to the main kid earlier in the film, and they keep on riding around, and they're basically like the Lost Boys. And at one point, you have the main kid's friend, and they kidnap him, and it is a very uncomfortable sequence to watch because they just snatch him off the street. He's screaming. It's very It's very hard to watch, and you think they're vampires, they're gonna kill him now. And then there's this really weird thing where he finds like a baby, and it's like this plastic or wax baby, and he like keeps it, and he's like, look, it's my friend. Or look, it's the other friend who got killed earlier on in the movie. Oh, hi. And he like talks to it, and it's really hilarious, actually. And this movie deserves a review all on its own. Like, this is one of the most weirdest films I've ever seen. It is so laughably bad. In fact, I might have Safi watch it so we could review it, because to end things with that movie, there was this really funny scene at the end of the film where the vampire woman, she has started to date Viggo Mortensen, and she's killing him. She's draining the life out of him, and she's sucking his blood, supposedly. And she finds the main kid in a field, and she talks to him, and she says, when you grow older, you're going to lose your memory. When you grow older, you're going to lose your hair. When you grow older, you're going to shit your pants. When you grow older, you're going to piss your pants. When you grow older, you're not going to be able to sleep. When you grow older, you're not going to be able to do this. When you grow older, and it's this funny, hilarious thing where it's like they're trying to have this serious, poignant moment where it's like, oh my God, this emotion of this woman, this vampire, and she's like telling him, like, when you're gonna grow older, you're gonna die, and it's kind of like creepy. But then she's like, but if you have someone there who loves you, none of that is gonna be hard. You'll be able to live. And then she gets picked up by the greaser car, and she's found dead in a field. And it is just the most anticlimactic piece of trash ever. Ow! And the movie ends with the main kid. It is literally exactly like the Florida Project, where, at the end of that movie, the main girl runs away and she goes into Disneyland and whatever. Well, in this movie, the main kid, he runs out into the middle of this field and he just goes, ah! And he just screams like that over and over and over again. And they're playing this music, and it's like, da, da, da. And it's like it's like so emotional. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is like, oh God. Like, oh. Like, I was like, I could not even believe this film was made, because it was so bizarre. But at the same time, it was very interesting, and it's fun to talk about. So, in fact, this is the type of movie, if you guys want to know what type of movie would make a good commentary movie, this would be the perfect commentary movie right here. The reflections of the skin. Finally, Halloween was terrible because we had to spend all day moving. It was a nightmare. It was hell. It was torture. The house was so mad at me that it made me fall over and slice my knee open. And my knee was sore, and my feet were extremely sore, like I was walking on like glass or something. Like, it was horrible. It was so painful. It was so terrible, terrible, terrible. And on top of that, it was just kind of like this negative feeling. And I really wanted to watch something. And I tried watching a couple of things. One of the things that I started to watch was Casper Meets Wendy. And that was another weird subconscious thing because the movie's all about this witch and her witch family. And they're being chased by these bad guys. And so they have to leave their house so that they can go stay at a hotel. And that's exactly like kind of what we did, where we had to leave our house as quickly as possible so we could go stay somewhere else at a new place. And that's exactly what it was like. And so it was weird watching that movie while packing up my things. I just watched it because it was for free on YouTube. So it is a fun movie. I kind of like it. I think it's pretty good. And then finally, in the evening, I started to watch Abbott and Costello Meet the Killers. And that's a movie where I was very disappointed by it when I first watched it, because on the poster they show Boris Karloff and that's really it. But then when you watch the movie, it's like this whole conspiracy of killers plus Boris Karloff. And so it's kind of like a mismarketing thing where they're just like baiting you with Boris Karloff. But I actually really love this movie. I mean, there's so many funny things. There's these parts with the dead bodies where they have to keep on, Abbott and Costello have to keep on hiding them, and then they disappear, and then they reappear somewhere else, and it's just so funny. And then the best part is when Boris Karloff comes in and he tries to get the main guy, Costello, to kill himself, and he's trying to hypnotize him, and it's just completely backfiring. And he's like, "Okay, now take your knife and stab the person in the mirror." And he thinks that Lou Costello is seeing himself, but then if you look over, Lou Costello is seeing Boris Karloff. And so then he starts trying to stab Boris Karloff, and it's just so hilarious. I love that movie. I give it an A+, honestly. I didn't finish it. I had like 20 minutes left, and I just could not keep watching it because I didn't want to laugh out loud in the middle of the night. It was so funny, though. So anyways, those are the movies that I watched in and around Halloween. Very, very bizarre, hectic Halloween. Definitely the worst Halloween in history, which, to be fair, there hasn't really ever been any bad Halloweens for us, except for this one Halloween. Well, actually, there was a couple. Okay. There was one Halloween where we had to carve our pumpkins on Halloween. That was kind of stressful, and it was raining too. And then there was another Halloween with a terrible party where it almost turned out really bad. So I just wanted to tell you guys, I might go further into detail and that when I do the podcast video in the future. And my last update with the movie for now is, I thought maybe I was going to be able to replicate my room at this new place, But I actually think that I'll take the time to try to do other things until I can figure out how to do that, because I really don't want to do a rush job like I was doing at this house where I was filming very haphazardly and just, having a checklist. I really don't want to do that at all, because I think I can do better. I don't like doing that. I think it does not represent my best effort. And so, well, actually, it is good. I'm not saying the footage I shot was bad. I'm just saying it would be better to not rush, like a commenter had said earlier. He said, don't rush. Take as much time as you need to make this a good film, because it's your film. Like, it's my film, and nobody else has interest in the film, so it's just me. And so I should have full control. I shouldn't be just doing things and trying rushing through everything. So yeah. And so in the meantime, I thought my memoir, it only sold one copy, I think. And I think also people watched the audiobook, or they listened to it, which was funny, because I sent the audiobook to somebody who was in the book, and then she unfriended me on Facebook. I was like, oh, that's too bad. Because I don't know, that was pretty funny. So I was thinking with that I might do an extended version right now, just because it's more of like a fresher thing, because, moving out of this place, it could result in a much better told story with all the emotions of that and everything, and finding out all the supernatural stuff. And then I was thinking of adding pictures to the book, oil pastel pictures, and I thought that would be really cool. And I was actually thinking of doing a series of memoirs from people, or a series of biographies, where I could tell the biographies, and then I could also do oil pastel pictures that are all in the same weird style. And so the recurring theme would be the pictures, the weird and crazy pictures. So I just wanted to tell you guys that. Anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you think about all this shit that I've talked about in the past 20-something minutes. And then please subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews on YouTube. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.